morning, everyone. I'm Karla, and you have reached my channel, KarlaBeingCrafty, where I talk about mostly cross stitch, but also other crafts and a little bit of life thrown in. If this is your first time visiting my channel, then welcome. I'm so glad you found me, and I hope that you enjoy the time here. And if you do, then please like and subscribe and help me grow this little channel. If this is not your first time, if you are a returning viewer, then I just want to say thank you for coming by again. I'm so glad to have you here. I enjoy these weekly videos that I do and the connection that it brings me to the FlossTube community so much. So let's get started with the video. Today is Sunday, October 13th, so we're almost halfway through the month. I got some really cool news last weekend. I am going to get to go out of town at the end of the month to go to Arizona, to Tempe, Arizona, I believe, to go to a bar mitzvah. My cousin's youngest son is being bar mitzvahed on November 2nd, and I wasn't going to be able to go for basically money reasons. I don't have the money to travel there, but I got together with my brother and sister-in-law last weekend for their son's 5th birthday. I told you guys about that, and we got to talking, and my brother and sister-in-law offered to not only let me drive with them, but also to help me out with a hotel room. So so I'm able to go, and I'm really excited. It's so nice of them to do this for me. And on top of that, I'm going to get to see all of my cousins. It's the first time that all of the cousins will have been together since my wedding, which was in 2012. So there's 10 of us, so it's going to be kind of a big group of family getting together and probably being loud. And I'm really excited, and all my aunts and uncles are going to be there as well. So yeah, so it's going to be really exciting. Now I will be traveling on the Sunday, the November 3rd, which would be a day I normally would film. So I either will film late that night when I get home, or maybe the next day. And maybe on the weekend I'll do a quickie video from my hotel room or something. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to that. I'm so blessed that my family is being kind and helping me out with that kind of thing. So so I just have to say thank you. You know, we're running into Thanksgiving, so you know, this is one of the things that I have to be thankful for, is that even though times have been a little bit more difficult for me lately, that I do have people in my life who really care about me and want to help me through things that are hard. So anyway, so that's a big shout out to my brother and Stacy, his wife, for being really generous and kind. And anyway, so I'm looking forward to it. So that's a little bit of life things that are happening for me right now. And with that, we can get into the cross stitch and the whips and the stuff that I know you guys love to hear about. I showed you last weekend that my friend Tracy had sent me a really fun package full of all kinds of stuff that she got from the Center for Creative Reuse, and she sent me a lot of fabric, and I showed you that I got dye, and I was planning on dyeing, and guess what? I did that all week. I post a lot of it on Instagram, so if you do follow me on Instagram at Karla with a K, then you've seen this. So I'm sorry if it's a repeat. But I did dyeing. I did it in a pickle jar, just one little pickle jar. And so the only equipment that I used were the jar. I have a plastic container, you know, like fake Tupperware container from Dollar Tree. And then I had an old half teaspoon measure. So those 3 pieces of equipment are the only things that I used. It was not at all messy for me to do. Granted, I have a stainless steel sink, so when I poured it down, I didn't have to worry about dye staining like a white sink. But I didn't even use gloves. I mean, it just wasn't messy. So basically the technique that I use is I took the fabric and I dyed it from like 1 to 3 pieces at a time, and then the one time I had a bunch of scraps, which I'll show you in a second. So I would wet the fabric, get it really saturated and wet, and rinse out any sizing or whatever that would be in there. So I usually did that with like warmish water, and then kind of crunched it, you know, wrung out the water, and then just kind of wadded it up and shoved it in the jar. However many pieces of fabric I wanted to do at that moment. And then I took my container and I took really hot sink water, so as hot as the sink could get, which my sink gets really hot, but I didn't have to boil the water or anything like that. And then I just measured out, usually just the little measuring spoon, which is I think like a half teaspoon or maybe even smaller of dye, and mix that in the water. And I used probably 2 to 3 cups the first time, and then I just poured it in, filled the jar, put the lid on, poured out the rest of the dye, and I typically let it sit for like an hour. Then I would take it out, rinse it really well until the water ran clear, which usually didn't take very much time because I wasn't using very much dye. Again, it was just a tiny little bit. And then I would re-wad the fabric, put it back in the jar, and repeat the process with another color. So doing this technique, I got some really pretty fabric. So the first piece I did, or the first pieces, and I made a bench for my mom, and I gave it to her Friday night. I went over there, and she is really enjoying the cross stitch, which is just great. And so now she has colored fabric, and all kinds of possibilities are coming to mind. So anyway, this is the first piece that I did. This one was a tangerine, and then on top of it I used a wine. And I have another piece of this that I started a project on, so I'll show you that in a minute. But that was piece number 1. Then I used a teal, and I did teal and then wine, and I only had little scraps for this. And then the same batch, I did half of it with the wine, but you know, I did the teal first with a bunch of pieces, and then I took half of it, put it back in, and used the wine, and the other half I used denim blue. And that's these. I did all these, I think, on Sunday. Oh, and then I got these 2 little bits too. Oh, and then this one, which I'm actually starting something. This is the one with the teal and the wine. So I did those on Sunday, and at that point I hadn't received the yellow or the purple dye yet. So then I got the yellow dye, and I did this piece. Now this I did lemon yellow first, and then teal afterwards, and it made this really pretty green, mottled green. And then, oh, and then my mom wanted a piece of just like a light blue, because I found a pattern for her of a simple pattern on, I actually went on the DMC website, and they have free patterns. So I was looking for things that were a little bit simpler and not huge, that would be easier for her to do. And I found a really cool flamingo on there. So I sent her a picture of it, and she was like, that's great, and I think it would look great on just a plain blue, so it looks like water. Because she's a little bit, she thinks that the dyed fabric is really beautiful, but she's a little bit old school, because she used to stitch so long ago, and so the bright colors and stuff, she has a hard time like envisioning something on it. But with the flamingo, she thought just a plain blue. So I did do it modeled, but I only used the teal. But I already gave it to her. But at the same time, I had 3 pieces of fabric that I was doing, 2 for her and then 1 for me. So I did the plain teal, which I gave to her, and then I put the other 2 pieces back in with purple. And then hers came out really pretty, dark, you know, ish. But then the piece that I had done for me was, I think, on the top, so it didn't get quite as much dye on it. And so I thought it would be neat to put it back in a third time. And I put some wine in, but I didn't fill the jar, so it only went like halfway up the fabric. And that's what I got for this one. So this was teal, purple, and a little bit of wine. And I think this is really pretty. And then yesterday I had wanted a yellow because I think that's what I'm going to use in February when I do the gathering honey that I'm going to do as a sal in February. And I wanted a pretty yellow. And I think this is going to work. This is actually 22 count hardinger, so I'm going to have to see how hard it is to stitch on. But I did this with the first pass I did yellow with just a little bit of the tangerine in it. And then it came out and it was almost like there was too big of patches of white. So I put it back in just with a lighter dose of yellow. And I think it came out really pretty. And then in that same grouping, after I did the first pass of the yellow, I pulled this one out, did the second pass of just the yellow on this one, and then I tried to mix I wanted to try and layer it like, you know, an orange and then put purple on top, because the original tutorial that I saw, she did that and it didn't really mix. Mine, it kind of did. So I did a layer of orange and then I did a layer of purple, but the purple didn't sink into the orange. And I got this fabric, which is very Halloween-y. I don't know if I love it. But this it started on a fiddler's cloth, so it actually was not dark, but it was a darker oatmeal-y color to start with. But it's growing on me. When I first took it out, I thought it was ugly, and then after I ironed it, of course, it lightens up once it's dry and ironed and everything. And now it's kind of growing on me, so I think it might actually look really cool with like pumpkins or something very Halloween-y. So there we go. So that's all my dyeing, my fabric dyeing that I did last week. It was really fun. It was super easy to do. Yeah, I'm just so excited that I have this stuff, and you know, I'm excited to share it with you guys. If anybody has any questions about it or whatever, then let me know. I'm seriously considering when I do my 500 subscriber giveaway, which I'm inching up on that. I'm 460 something as of today. So when we get there and I try and put together a nice package for 500, I think I might throw in a piece of hand-dyed fabric. So anyway, let me know what you guys think, and any suggestions for color combos that might look nice, or something that I should try as far as the dyeing goes. But anyway, so this is the fabric that I dyed, and I do have more fabric coming from a couple eBay purchases that I got a couple good deals, so I'm going to be trying more. So let me know what you think. Okay, let's see. So when we get into whips and new starts and whatever, I did have a new start this week. Kind of a haul too, because I got this pattern. I got it this week. I ordered some needle minders for my mom, because as she's getting more into stitching, she's getting more into the stuff. So she was like, you know, it would really be helpful, I think, if I got some of those needle minders that you talk about. So I did order her a couple of needle minders. I got her Cinderella, which I have one too. So it's this one that I got her. And then I also got her one that is Archie and Veronica and Betty, all drinking sodas, because she always used to love the Archie comics when I was growing up, and then she kind of like passed that on to me. So anyway, so I put in an order at Mad for Minders for my mom, and of course, you know, when you're on there, you want to hit the free shipping. So I ordered Hilde's Brew, which is a Michelle Bendy Stitchy design, which I was really looking forward to getting. And she has said that that Hilde is going to be in further adventures, so she's going to have more patterns that come out with Hilde, which I think is really cool. And so this is a totally cute pattern, but of course I can't leave it alone and just stitch it as it's the model stitch. That's just not my way. So I decided to stitch it on a piece of my hand-dyed fabric. So I'm using, hold on, I'm gonna take the needle minder off because there's a needle on it. So I decided to use kind of the sunsetty one. And I made a few color changes. I brightened it up a little bit just because that's what I had, and I thought it would look good that way on the fabric. And then I did change the smoke that's coming from the cauldron and also from the house. I'm using Light Effects, DMC Light Effects, which is very sheer, and I'm only using one strand, so I like the kind of smokiness of it, and it's a little bit sparkly. I changed the wand. I made it gold instead of black. And what else did I do? I put a bead for the eye and beads in the eyes of the bat instead of a stitch. Yeah. And then the ghosts I'm going to do with glow-in-the-dark white. So this went really fast. I started this actually Friday night, and I worked on it some yesterday afternoon. So it's stitching really fast, and I think partly that's just because it's fun to do. So that was my new start this week. As far as whips, I only really worked on two that are worth showing you. I did do a little bit of work on In This House, the one for my brother, and a little bit on the Social Butterfly, which is one for my stepdaughter Taylor. But with both of those, I just stitched a little bit on it, and it's really not enough to show you. The ones that I worked on a little bit more, this is Hands-On Design Year Celebrations, and I'm working on the November one right now. And so I got quite a bit more done on this and all of this, and I filled in the bless. And so this is going pretty fast. I think if I work on this one, or it'll take like 1 or 2 more sessions of stitching, and that'll be done, and then I can finish it like I finished October. I went to Joann's and I got some more fabric, like the fabric that I used for October, because I thought it would be nice if I had the same type of fabric. So it's a plain color, but it's got a little bit of like a sparkle in it. And I got like one of those little, I don't even know if it's fat quarter, but it was like a bundle of 5 different colors. And I had gotten a purple bundle, but that's all I had. So I had like 5 different colors of purple, or actually one of them was white or something. So, and I didn't want purple to be the background. I wanted to be able to have, various different ones to fit the seasons. So I went back to Joann's to see if I could find anything like that, and I did find a blue set. I think I got a gray, and I was able to find a light green. So I was hoping to find more colors like in the yellow range and pinks and stuff, but they didn't have it. But I still will be able to make a nice range of different backgrounds with those colors, plus I have all the felt. So I'm using a fabric and then the felt. So I think that I'll be able to have a nice range with that. Okay, and the last thing that I worked on this week is my Glendon Place All Hallows Eve. And I am doing this on Picture This Plus Jewel fabric. Okay, so I was able to finish the werewolf and start the snake. Sorry, it's a little bit glary. It's still early here. There we go. So I did use Whisper fabric on his chest, and his face, so it's a little bit fluffy. Hopefully that shows up. And then I was able to start the snake, and I'm also using a little bit of specialty flosses in here as well, which I'll show you. I got I did an eBay auction that actually I won, and it was a bunch of different I'm losing my words. What's the company? Rainbow. Rainbow Gallery. A bunch of different Rainbow Gallery stuff. And there were some shiny flosses in there. And so I picked out 2 of the greens that I got, and I'm using that as little accents on him. He has like these little squares that go all the way down his back. So there's not that much in there yet. But anyway, so there's just a little bit of a start on him. Okay, so that is buns in place. So as I said, those are all my whips for this week. I did work a little bit on the other 2, but really not enough to pull them out and show you, because I don't think it's going to look different enough. Okay. So news, if that's the word, on Village Bookstore, which I believe I discussed last week that I am planning on starting. Now, it's not my first Haid, because I as you know, I have 2 quick stitch smaller Haids that are going to be about that big when they're done. But it's going to be my first full-on big Haid. So I am for sure doing that. I got my floss cards, and I put them together and marked them, and now I have to go and actually fill in all the flosses. So I might do that today, just to get a kind of jump on that. And I think I have most of the flosses. I think I might have to order maybe 20. But I'm going to wait on doing that, because I just got an eBay, it wasn't an auction, it was a straight buy, but it was kind of cool. It was like, it was a really good package, and I thought it was a little bit too expensive. It has like 50 flosses and a bunch of fabric, and there was actually some sticky board in there. It was just a whole lot of cross stitch supplies. And I looked at it, but I was like, you know, it's a little bit expensive. So I passed. And then I got an email, you know, obviously eBay knows what you are searching and looking at. And I got an email like 2 days later that it was like reduced by 10%. So I went ahead and bought it. So I'm going to wait to purchase any floss until I get that, to see if any of those colors, if any of the missing colors are in that package, because it could happen. But anyway, so I have, you know, I have until January to kit this up, but I know I went through my floss list, and I have like, you know, 75 of the 90 something colors. So so I'll just have to make a little bit of purchase on that. Now, as far as fabric, Julie from Stitching at the Cabin, I was talking to her, or messaging back and forth with her, and she has done a lot of bigger projects, and we were talking about fabric, and she was saying to just go for the 25 count. It's not that hard to stitch on, etc. And I asked her if she had, you know, if she could maybe send me a scrap so I could see the 25 count easy grid. Now, I know I want to use an easy grid, and I know that I'm going to do 10th stitch, and I'm going to use 2 strands because I want to be able to do the loop start. My dilemma, I guess, or my big question now is whether to use 25 count even weave or 20 count Aida. 20 count Aida is the highest that you can get in an easy grid. So Julie was nice enough to just send me just a little scrap of the 25 count, and I did do a test stitch of the 10 stitches. Those are 10 stitches 2/1. You can't tell the difference between this and cross. And I really like the way it looks. My question or concern or whatever with the 25 count is ending my threads, because I'm used to doing a pin stitch, which I know how to do in Aida. It hides itself in Aida, so I really love that. I'm not sure how I would do an ending pin stitch on the 25 count, especially if I'm only doing tent. I don't know how it will cover. So that's the thing I'm gonna have to test. So I've been going back and forth in my mind, and I decided on the Aida, and I ordered the piece of the Aida, and then Julie sent me this, and I tested stitched on it, and I really liked the way it looked. So then I was back to having the dilemma again. So I went ahead and ordered a piece of the 25 count as well, because I figure whichever one I decide on for this big Hilde, I'm still gonna do, I have more quick stitch patterns that I want to do, and I went actually back on the website, and there's other patterns that I want. So I will end up using all of it, but it's just I'm gonna have to decide if I want to do the 25 count even weave or 20 count Aida for this project. If I do the test stitch with the 10 stitches on the 20 count Aida and it looks good, then I will probably do that, because it just solves the ending threads thing. But the 10 stitches on this just look fantastic, and I didn't have a problem seeing the holes, and yeah, so I still have that dilemma, but you know, the fabric will both come in probably at the end of the month, and then I'll be able to do a little bit of test stitching and make that final decision. So I think that the beginning of the project's going to actually go, I don't want to say quickly, because Hildes just don't go quickly, but the beginning, the first part of the first page is a lot of just like 310 and then a little bit of other stitches, but it's not going to be as confetti heavy as what I'm used to doing on my quick stitches. So that'll give me, you know, a good start into it. But I do have to say thank you again to Julie for sending that, because it was like completely, you know, an unnecessary thing to do, but she did say that she would cut me off a little piece, and she mailed it to me, and I think that was really nice. So go watch their channel, Julie and Alyssa at Stitching at the Cabin, and they just put out their 5th FlossTube yesterday, I think. So okay, let's see, plans. Plans for today, actually there's 2 people that I watch who are having birthday sales this month. Today, the 13th, is actually Annie's birthday, the Joy-Filled Stitcher. And for her birthday sale, and I don't know what the hashtags are, I will have to look them up, and then I can put them in the description box below. But she was just asking people to stitch today in honor of her birthday, and just to stitch on something that brings you joy, which is pretty easy for me, because pretty much all of my projects bring me joy. But on top of that, Claire from Beautiful Clarity is also having birthday this month. I want to say her birthday is the 15th, but I'm not 100% sure. I think it's in the middle of the month, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But for her birthday, even though she is a fall birthday girl, her request for her birthday sale was just to not stitch on anything that was autumn or Halloween related, because she doesn't want her birthday to be associated with that. What I'm going to do today, I think it's this one's bag. Yeah, my pink cat project bag. So I'm going to stitch today in honor of both their birthdays on Mouth of the Flower, Octavio Campo, and I love this pattern. It just, every time I look, I just want to stare at it. So it definitely brings me joy to stitch on this, and then I think it's beautiful, and that fits in with Claire's requirement. So I'm going to stitch on this today in honor of both Annie from Joy-Filled Stitcher and Claire from Beautiful Clarity for their birthdays. So happy birthday, ladies. so that is my plans for today as far as stitching goes. And then I want to finish Hilde and keep working on everything that I'm working on. So I'm actually, you know, kind of ending it early this week. It's only been 30 minutes instead of my usual 40, but I don't have anything else to share with you that's all that exciting. So I hope that you guys have a great week coming up, stitchy week. I hope that the weather is doing what you like. If it's getting into fall, if you're starting to get cooler weather, it's cooling off a little bit here in Southern California. Not enough, but it is tapering down. I started lighting my autumn scented candle, so I had like pumpkin-y, cinnamony smells yesterday. I've gotten out of, you know, the watermelon and the lemony smells that I like to burn in the summer, and started burning my cinnamon, more folly smells. Next will be the peppermint smells when we get more into the winter season. But anyway, so I hope that you guys have a really great week coming up. Please, you know, leave me comments. I love getting the comments. I am it's just such a great connection to this community, and I love hearing what you guys are doing, what you think about my projects. If you have any suggestions or ideas for me. And oh, and I found one more candle lid. What did I do with it? Oh, I found another candle lid sitting around when I was pulling out some of my my fall candles. I found this one sitting in a drawer by itself, which is great because I can make another orc catcher today with this. So that's another reason to use up my candles, because I'm craving their lids so I can make orc catchers. But anyway, so I hope you guys have a great week, and take care of yourselves, enjoy fall, and remember to always be content, be kind, and be crafty. This is Karla. Bye-bye, you guys.